So the last 10 minutes, Doc, we like to end on a lighter note, and I think that you picked the best, lightest note, the Libertarians. So, they're cute. Anyway, what's going on with the Libertarians? I thought they have been swept aside by all this rancor and divisiveness. And Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, they gave it their best shot, but I haven't really heard a peep from any of those guys or a peep from any Libertarians beating their chest. What's going on? You know more of them than I do.
Well, the trick is like I was talking to my IT guys on Thursday, and there are 3 of them, and one of them was a die-hard Republican, another one was a little bit of a Democrat, and then the other one's the middle of the road. And the Republican voted for Trump. My Democratic friend voted for Johnson. And my middle-of-the-road friend voted for Johnson. So I asked my Republican friend, why'd you vote for Trump? Well, I couldn't see voting for anything else, and I didn't want to throw my vote away. The other 2 IT guys said, you're not throwing your vote away. You're building a third party, which is part of the problem America faces. And they had that debate, right? Because like Blake said, you have 2 teams going at it, and they need to win. So introducing a third party would change that dynamic and maybe stop the rancor. So I got to thinking that's pretty interesting. So I'm going through, I had a full day on Friday at my office, and I'm asking some of my patients, well, what did you think? Who'd you vote for? And well, I voted for Johnson. I voted for Johnson. I voted for Trump. I voted for Johnson. All right. Anybody here vote for Hillary? I'm in Dallas County. Nobody voted for Hillary. Okay. And the strange thing is when I really got to looking at the numbers, the votes that Hillary lost seem to have gone to Johnson. Now, I think he broke double digits. I'm not quite sure, but he got at least 9%, and the number that sticks in my head is 13%, which is short of the 15% he needs nationally. But I've heard from several different sources, and I haven't been able to verify it, that he has hit 4% or 5% here in Iowa, which now means they are a, quote, major party, end quote, and entitled to whatever they get here in Iowa. My issue with the Libertarians, and I like them a lot. In fact, at one point on this show, I said I cannot stand the Republican Party and how they're operating. If I'm going to go Libertarian and see how that works. Didn't work that well for me, I'll just let you know. Because when you watch Libertarian foreign policy, that is the foreign policy that Obama seems to be utilizing. Don't get me wrong, it's not 100% Libertarian. It's not 100% Democratic, by the way. And it's not 100% Republican, but it leans closest to the Libertarians. The other thing is, if you start talking to these Libertarians about anything foreign policy-wise, they just bungle it. It doesn't matter who you are. Ron Paul, Gary Johnson, the U.S. Senate candidate here, who I like, and I like them all. But I think that at least on a social basis here in the U.S., I think they bring things that the 2 parties don't bring. And by social, I mean, what their policies are, fiscal policies and things like that. And I think that this election really gave them more numbers than, or at least a bigger percentage than they normally would have had if traditional voting numbers had borne out. Well, so that's my opinion.
You know my take about third parties that I stole from somebody else who I can't give credit to because I can't remember who I stole it from, but I know that I didn't think of this. You want to have a strong, vibrant, multi-party system in this country. It's very, very difficult. We have a presidential system. We vote for candidates, not parties, and so sort of counterintuitively, that lends itself to 2 parties because you're never going to have a system where you're voting for candidates where you're going to have the kind of infrastructure that you need to run a campaign to support an individual candidate that basically has to do it all by himself unless you have a strong 2-party system. There's just not enough resources, not enough money, not enough ideology out there to split up amongst everybody. Parliament's a little different, but whatever. But you want to have a strong, vibrant third or fourth party in this country, like the Libertarians and the Greens. You don't start with the presidential election. You start at the local level. You get elected to school boards. You get elected to town council. You get elected to mayor. You start working on governing your community. You start getting people behind you, people who know you, people that can push you forward into the state house, people that can push you forward into other areas of local and state government, and you build a coalition that way. And you build similar coalitions all across the country. And if you're grassroots organizing is tough in this country. It always has been. Building a new political party is going to be even tougher than that. But you don't start top down. That's never going to work because you're never going to have broad-based support. You're going to have a lot of people that think it's great to see somebody running for president named Gary Johnson who's a libertarian. That's awesome. You can get behind that because you hate the other two people on the other side. You're never going to crack that number that you need to make a difference because your support. You're a niche candidate with speaking to a select group of like-minded interest holders. You don't have broad-based support across the country. So start local, build your base, and go from there.
I would agree. Well, this has been the best show we've had in months. I'm much happier after this because we're going to get back to our roots, finding common solutions to the problems that face everyday Americans. I want to thank Lefty as always for showing up because, without him, it's just me blathering on for an hour, and who wants to listen to that? Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back right after this week.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.